just going to university because based on the family trait, firstborn akona degree nini. But I passionately wanted to do aviation. Like that's something.
But you can do it, like Cairo.
I know. I'm not even lying. Do you know how obsessed I am with planes? Like Legi Kipita will just look at it like this. I'm not even lying.
But you're still young. How old are you?
I'm 29. I just turned 29.
You're just a young person.
No, Nikona time, inshallah, we'll do it.
Something that surprises me is during our time, we also used to do things in our 20s. But ours mostly was about family and job. But innovation was not a lot. Such that you find nowadays, you see what you're doing. Morara is 28. He has his own home. He has his own company, property. And he has a company that's functioning and running, several of them, including the rental one that he uses his brothers to rent.
Mashallah.
So, and then you can see what you're doing. Look at Cairo. So, in short, there is a way Gen Z are changing the way Kenyans have been seeing young people. And I think it is changing the trajectory completely. Because the people who are running this country are the young people. So you can imagine if you have started like this in your 29, as when we were growing up, we were being told that at 25 is when you begin to understand life and begin to kind of get a direction and settle. But you guys are making it in your 20s, and you already know what you want to do, and you're doing it perfectly and completely. So if you check now, where will Elite Club Studio be in 10 years? You can only imagine, because the technology is changing. So yeah, you're doing great work, you guys.
Thank you, man. It means a lot.
Yeah, impressive.
But do you think now that you've talked about your generation and how innovative we are, do you think, because personally I think the young people are innovative because of the problems they want to solve, you see?
Yeah.
Because technically every innovation is directly or indirectly solving a problem. Almost.
Not almost.
Every.
Currently, I'm studying at the Open University of Kenya, and I'm doing entrepreneurship and business. Studies have changed completely, because what you're doing now, we are beginning from business. I know what you told me. You've done IBA. We are beginning from entrepreneurship, moving to business. So how do you set up an entrepreneurship? What does it take to begin a business? But we don't call it a business. We call it an entrepreneurial venture. So it takes creativity, and this creativity must be fired by a problem. We call them pain points. When you see a pain point in the community, the next thing you get is empathy. For example, if you see someone who is not hearing, why would you want to create a hearing aid? It's because you empathize with that person. Sympathy is good, but sympathy does not lead to action, but empathy leads to. All innovations are most of the time solving a certain problem. If they're not solving a certain problem, they are reorganizing how that problem has been solved in the past, such that you're bringing new ways of doing it. And therefore, because you're bringing new ways of doing it, because an entrepreneur, to be successful, he must be able to do what others have been doing a bit faster, and he must do it at a low cost, and also he must do it better. So if, for example, we're producing this microphone, so if you are going to interrupt the market, you must, the time that takes this microphone to be manufactured and get to me, from how you're finding the raw material to me, it is faster. Number two, it is cost effective. you're giving me an advantage of price, so it will be less than what I was buying it at. Okay? And it is better than what I was paying for. Now, look at those three things. That's what brings a market interruption. And that's what the young people are doing right now.
Exactly. You've just spoken to what exactly I was talking about yesterday. So the idea of actually everything I've done, because I've never been good in school. Out of I think 6 kids.
Sorry.
I know. I was 6 kids in my family.
I am. My first degree is first class of 96 points.
Mashallah, that's dope. So I guess I'm totally opposite from you.
Yeah.
However, my sisters and my younger brother, especially my younger brother, is way smart when it comes to books.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other end, when it came to business, running the business family, I don't think they have the kind of attributes I have, you see, because I'm a good risk taker.
Okay.
And I analyze risk in ways people won't analyze. You see, the same way you've seen my TikToks. Dante is my producer. He will tell you we sit on a script like for 3-4 days. We make sure we go thorough. And I usually have OCDs. Kuna OCDs fulani niko nazo ya perfection. He knows kuna time tutashoot hapa like for hours and hours. After tuone kitu and then nikiona like a pimple imeonekana, I'd be like, nah, let's just do it again.
You repeat.
We repeat the whole thing again. Ama kama hiyo siku nguo haiko imeingiana na hii, we are like, wacha tuweke kando, tutakuja tu record kesho, we do it again. The thing is, when it came to school, I believe personally, right now as an adult, I hated education when I was a kid.
Okay.
Oh, Patrick, I really hated it. You don't understand. I hated
I will describe hating, because hating might be relative because of what I'm thinking.
Let me tell you how. There was, when we were in high school, there were this group of boys who wanted to sell their soul to the devil.
How?
No, they wanted to sell their soul to the devil to get money.
Okay.
Now, this was a high school thing.
Okay. Okay.
Now, I told them, if this thing works, I even don't want the money. I just want good grades. You can imagine.
You were willing, it was that bad?
It was that bad because you have to understand the pressure. Firstborn akona degree, secondborn sijui degree masters, thirdborn ndo huyo anaenda degree masters PhD. My younger brother is an engineer, so Nasir, what's up? You understand?
Wow.
So it's that constant pressure. And outside school, I was really dope. I was really good in football. Soccer, I was really good. In fact, to a point that there was a time after high school I went to Sofapaka trials. But again, my dad is a military dude. It's either my way or the highway dude. No. So aliniambia hapana. Mimi nataka masomo. In fact, there was a time I was scouted to go to Norway. Kila kitu imejipa. My dad was like,
But why would a parent want to control their children's destiny?
Now you see, this is something
that is sad, eh?
It is sad, but it's something, I believe it's something that I have to go through me as myself, so I can make change in the future. You understand? There was a bit I saw on TikTok that the person who breaks the family curse has to have the ability to feel pain. Because most of the people in the family trauma line, they ignore their pain. They feel it, but they choose to let it go. But the ones who like feel that pain, because right now when it comes to my other cousins who are low performing, I'm the one who steps in and I'm like, yo, this kid draws well. You understand? There's a way. Even if their parents are going hard on them, I'm the one who comes and tells them, look, by the way, life is not it's not that complex. Because Patrick, what I was being taught ever since I was a kid, yo, you have to pass exams. Ever since I finished high school, I have never been employed. I can tell you that. The best I've been employed, I think I can tell you, nilipatiwa contracts 2 huko Garissa ya kujenga malatrines. And that was about it. That was a contract. I cannot call it employment.
Yeah.
I started selling my first car imported because there's a lady who came here who we talked about. Her name is Bena. Anauzanga ma energy drinks. Right now she has QB. She saw me at 7. She facilitated me at 17. Niki import my first car.
At 17?
At 17. Way before hata ID itoke.
A poor performing kid.
Exactly. At 17. Now, I usually tell people what Cairo is doing is a really good thing. Because personally, I started doing that. My dad was the first car importers in Kenya. So nilikuanga na hii knowledge ever since I was a kid. And then later on tukaacha, we went into petroleum, you see. So ukiangalia the trajectory, I believe every failing student, the fact that hakupatiwa the validation ikuwe na walimu ama na parents, there's a way you have always wanted to break that boundary, break that shell. Understand? And that
and by the way, I have such a challenge in my house. But before I come to my house, let me tell you, most of the best innovators were not good with education. Either they did not perform well, or they performed well, but they found it to be so taxing. It is unbearable, and it's a waste of time. And a good example is my son. When Robin,
how old is he? Sorry.
He's 25.
Okay.
When he finished Form 4, in 2016, he told me he only wants one thing from me. I told him, okay, what? He told me, do not try to take me to college. That's number one. Number two, and connected to that, the alternative is buy me a power station. What is it called? This big computer. What is it called?
MacBook.
No, station something. What is it? Workstation.
Workstation.
Yes, those big computers. I went and I shopped for one, and I gave him. And he told me, just sit down and relax. I'll show you how things are done. Allow me to work it my way. And in 3 years, he bought me a very nice phone in 3 years of him doing whatever he was doing. Today, you see this phone? It's the one who bought it for me.
Oh, mashallah.
Every expensive thing I have is him who has bought it. Remember, he's not going to college. So what is he doing? He told me he wants to do games. There is an animation movie that every time I gave him money for lunch, instead of eating, he bought, is it Nasisi na what?
What's a game? It's a game.
No, it's an animation movie. Nasisi, what is it, the name?
Oh, what's the movie about?
It's a series.
What's the series about, the animation?
Just animation, looking like a game, fighting, those kind of things. That's what he used to do. He had so many animation movies. So what is he doing today? He's a gamer. He has learned everything about computer. Everything. He's now creating games. And I know probably you watched his game, but you won't know it is him. Because he has like 5, 6 names that he uses. At his age, when he was 22, he partnered with 3 partners, one in Norway, German, and Singapore. They opened a company. They have an online shop where they sell games. Now him is a creator. Robin can hack anything, hackable. Yes. And he never went to college. And he just called me some few weeks ago and he told me, I think I'm going to school and I want to study something weird. What? To be a chef. Why?
Okay.
Because he likes good food. Then we realized the same problem with my last one. It's called favor. So favor, at Form 2, education refused. He could not understand anything. She doesn't, and she refused to go to school. So what did we do? We took her to a polytechnic at Form 2. So what you're saying, you're not the only one who is going through it. Everyone is going through it. But you know, what made me to understand such situations and to agree is because of from some years back, they were talking about CBC. So the kind of model of education we have, it is cramming based, memory based, rather than practical. Therefore, most people, like for example, if CBC existed when we were in school, you could have done CBC, which means you pursue what you like. What did you like? Games, sports. So if you pursued it, you could have become better. And you see, that's where Muzungu they have been able to put us under colonization, whether it is the old or the new colonialism, because they allow their children to pursue their passion. So you're pursuing. So the fact that you failed in grades does not mean that you are bad in many things, because look at how you are going to be in the next few years. The people who are most learned, they are not the best creators at all.
Your son, you see, do you know I've laughed when you talked about your son being a chef? Because now it's a point that he has realized that this is actually what I want to study. Do you know that if I go back to university, what I would like to study?
What?
Psychology. I tell everyone that and everyone laughs. And they're like, why? And I'm like, no, ever since I was a kid. Like...
You wanted to get into people's heads?
No. I've struggled. No, people have been misunderstood. That's what I can say.
Okay.
So it's either two things. It's either people are misunderstanding me or I am not understanding humans.
Okay.
So that's why, as in most of the time, I like having conversations. Hata kama tuna disagree, but I want to understand where you're coming from. You understand? So the obsessions I've developed, especially now that I'm growing up, there are things I'm realizing. It's like I'm now tapping into my personality. You see? The fact that I want to have conversations with humans. These are things I used to do back in the day. Because we used to work in a petrol station in Isli. Now this petrol station, hapo kando, I'm going to call it as it is. It was a whore house. You know a whore house, what a whore house is. It was exactly
I hope it's not the one on Juja Road.
No, it's in Isli, a place called La Mushkil. But I guess walifukuzwa huko. It was renovated, someone bought it and wakafukuzwa. So I used to talk to everyone. Ikuwe chokora asubuhi akikuja kuchukua zile matakataka.
Yeah.
And then those ladies used to come to this petrol station kununua diesel, because diesel inamaliza kunguni kwa the beds.
Wow.
You see? So wakikuja kuongea na mimi, now every person atajaribu kurun away from them for one reason or another because of the association. It's daylight, unafaa kukumbuka. But wakiniita mimi, because I used to have a big afro and I used to wear glasses as well. So macho nne, kuja utuweke diesel. And I used to have a humane conversation with them. I understand who they are, they know who I am. And we used to go deep. Like, what led you here? And nimesikia conversation. So to a point that I swear to you, Mr. Patrick, naweza kaka kwa stage nikiongoja mtu and I will talk to the weirdest of people.
So you are able to engage people easily?
Easily.
Something that I struggle with.
And the other thing is, even if it's the first time talking to someone, they might end up telling me like their whole life.
Okay.
There's someone, they can just look at me and they'll be like, yo, I trust you, for some weird reason. So that's why I've always been fascinated. And now, speaking of conversations, do you realize why people want to get cancelled?
I guess I do, because people really come to you and they say they want help, but as a matter of fact, all they wanted was someone to listen to them, rather than be told anything. Because all through their life, they've been told a lot of things. By the time they are depressed or they are frustrated, they've already been told so much. And what they are looking for is someone who can listen to them, understand them. This one, we call it empathize. And that means whatever you are going to tell them, they will be empty and they will be willing to listen. Because when you're talking to someone and they're full of things, what you're doing is they are overflowing already. So allow them to empty first. Then they will have space for what you have to say. That's why people need counseling.
Okay, so that's a good point. However, I think we misunderstand. When I mean cancel culture, not cancelling, the one you're advising.
I thought you were talking about cancelling the medical.
But that's a good point. No worries. I'm talking about cancel culture. Like, Patrick amesema hii, no, let's cancel him. We don't want a conversation, nothing. Let's cancel him. Because you see, the point is, the point was the conversation. But you're good to go.
That's the problem of spoken and written. Because if you wrote for me, I will have seen it.
Yeah. Because, as I said, the conversation was coming from the art of conversing with someone.
Yes, you talk and then
Exactly.
cut you.
Yeah, so they're like, Patrick amesema hii, we need to cancel him, cancel his social media pages asisikike mahali. Because you see, Patrick, conversations bring new ideas. Like today in the West, if you say there are only 2 genders, you can get cancelled.
Yeah, it's not acceptable anymore.
You get. However, if you have a conversation with someone who has a contrary opinion and tell them, okay, let's talk. If there are more than 2 genders, here is the scientific fact. Let's have a conversation. You see, conversations bring 2 things. It's either they bring ideas or realizations.
Yeah.
You see? And from that realization, I don't think a narrative can be pushed. So they are avoiding conversations. And they're like, cancel him. And that's why I'm a big fan of conversation. I don't call this an interview.
Okay.
That's why I like talking with people with a different controversial opinion, even atheists. I tell atheists, they tell me there's nothing like God. And I tell them, you cannot prove to me there is God. And I cannot prove to you there is God. I do believe in God, yes, but I cannot prove that he's there. In simple, what I'm trying to tell you.
Because you can't put him in a lab.
Exactly.
Yeah, it is. God cannot be proven empirically. No. Because which lab will you test God to prove that there's God? Even if you take a miracle, how can a miracle be tested in a lab? It's not possible. So conversation. But when you listen to an atheist, he'll give you a side of the theory of God, and as the people believe in God, we also give our own theory of who we believe God is, and then put in together facts to prove why we are convinced and persuaded God exists. So during the conversation, I will understand your viewpoint, you will understand my viewpoint. I think so.
Why do you believe in God?
I have several things. Number one, I was brought up as a Christian, my foundation. That's number one. Number two, because of the exposure to the Bible. I read the Bible. It gave me stories of God and things that God has done, and it convinced my mind. Even before I started thinking whether there is God or there is no God. But as a child, you always think, the question that comes to your mind is, who created God? Since if God created us, then who created God? And before the world was, so what was there? So those kind of questions. And then we go to church and you are told about God. So that was my foundation for believing in God. However, as I grew up now, I started studying the Bible for myself with an open mind. And I studied the Bible alongside the Quran. So I have the Quran on this side, I have the Bible on this side. I realized these guys are almost the same. They believe there is one God. They're disagreeing on some few minor things. To me, they are very minor things. The whatever they're giving, and then you realize some books are the same. So I came to a conclusion that these one are saying there's God and these one are saying there's God. So why should I believe there is God? And in the process of thinking this way, I went to college. So Bible college. And that's many, many years ago. I don't think you were born when I went to the first Bible college. And that's why we started asking hard questions. But my questions were not answered properly, even when I finished my diploma, until when I was doing my degree. That's when I was now exposed to people who do not believe there is God. And you must make a case to them that God exists. So the easiest way to approach it is scientific. Because if you go through scientific, of course there are those who will argue better than you because of their exposure and their level of scientific knowledge. But there are certain things you will be able to put one and one together and realize, by the way, inikaa ina make sense. Nalikuwa nataka tuongea Kiswahili ama Kizungu, by the way.
Any can do. Any communication.
Yeah, so
any can do.
So I believe God exists because of simple things. Number one, Everything we see today that we use as humans was designed by someone. So God exists because, number one, of the design theory. This camera is a combination of so many things that were brought together by someone. So it exists because someone sat down, thought it through, and produced a camera. Mm-hmm. Take all the materials that have made that camera and bang them together. Even if you bang them for 1,000,000 years, they will never produce a camera. Meaning, this world, the way it operates, 12 hours, the sun comes from this side, earth to this side, without a fail. There are seasons, there are times, day and night. It is not from a big bang happening, it is from a designer. And that designer of everything we see in life is God. That's the first thing that I was able to understand. And we can argue about a lot of things, but when you come to design, then science fails.
Wow. So on the other end, I think mine is a bit different. Of course, my background is Muslim.
Yeah.
A Muslim Somali family. But every school I went to, I was, I was the only Muslim Somali boy there. So nimesomea Gashie, nimesomea Kiambu.
Gashie wapi?
Gashie White Cottage.
My son was at Gashie Secondary.
No, but there's a school called White Cottage at primary. Pale tu unachiki Gashie Secondary, haiko mbali hata na Gashie Secondary. It's like, actually, it's not even, it's like, I guess, less than 3 kilometers.
No, si Gashie. Sio Gashie. Si Gashie Secondary. Ni the next one.
Kiambu?
No.
Kiambu boys.
Unaona ukipita njia kwenda, ukitoka Kitisuru ukipanda kwenda Lwakabete. Hii area inaitwa?
So it's been a while tangu niku.
There is a when you want something to remember is when it gets lost. Okay, continue.
So my dad used to tell me, wakikwambia when the church, go praise Jesus as if Mungu wako. You get
your dad?
So yeah, as in like the point he was coming from is, I'm taking you to school to be open. Learn a culture, go learn something. So niko shule with Kikuyu people, nasikia how they talk, ama how their way of life, because you see I'm the only dude from there. Sisi tukienda home, we are used to using maybe possibly tissue and water, but now there's the aspect of only tissue peke yake. So you're like, okay, fine, let me just conform here. We are in Rome, sindio? We are going to do how everyone is doing it. So nilienda hivyo all the way mpaka high school, the situation was the same. Then after high school, kidogo, I was like, history ya Mungu. I was very scientific. I was very into science. However, I was also puzzled with that fact, where did God come from? And then I decided to look for answers. Because I'm well versed with the Christian Bible. I've read the Bible from cover to cover. However, what I didn't know was the Quran. I only knew bits of the Quran.
You're joking.
I'm not lying. It's exactly the same. Because you have to understand, I went to boarding in class 4. Kumaliza ilikuwa form 4. So your time yote, which culture was I mostly in? The Christian culture. Na Wakikuyu, way more. In fact, after form 4, sikuwa najua hata a ton of Kisomali. However, I could hear Kikuyu. Haungeza kunisengenya.
Wow.
You see? So the point is, nikaanza being at a neutral point in life when you're trying to look for answers is the best point. Pale umesema, I'm not emotionally hooked to any narrative. Let me just stay here and look for the truth. And I'm not looking for Patrick's truth or anyone's truth. Mi atafuta ile ukweli mi natafuta. Now, let's go back to science. Have you ever heard of the Fibonacci sequence?
Tell me about it.
Fibonacci sequence are numbers like 1 plus 1 is 2. So 1 and 2 are Fibonacci numbers. 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 is a Fibonacci number. 2 plus 3 is 5. Now it goes on, ikiendelea hivyo. Those are Fibonacci in infinity. Now if you take this number, you'll find that nature follow that specific rule. You look at the number of...
I remembered it, but anyway.
Yeah, it's part and parcel of the golden ratio. Even how the planets zimepangwa, kila kitu. How the flowers... And now, once I look at this, because most of the time, again, even the moment I used to be mtu wa watu kitambo, like sociable guy. The moment nikaanza ku grow up, nikaanza kuwa secluded. Yes, mimi ni mtu wa watu bado, but even if tuko in a party, nataka kwenda home tu niweke podcast kwa masikio nisikie and then look at something else. That's the person I've grown into.
Wow.
So most of the time asubuhi nakaa kwa balcony yangu nisikize podcast, and those birds kikuja, do you know how birds in the morning like brush their beaks off? I will stare them for hours. Nikijaribu tu kuangalia hiyo design yenye nasema. You understand? And try to piece everything together. Na ikafika point nikasema evolution cannot bring this design.
Not possible.
And do you know what made me think of that? It's a woman. Now think of every creation. Birds, men. There's no creation that fascinates me like a woman. Now even if you think about it, you believe in God, you believe in the creation theory. What was the last thing God created? The last.
Yes, it is her.
After how many thousands of years? So I cannot help even to think of the inspiration God got, but wacha nisifikirie huko, I might be blasphemous. You understand?
Yeah.
So I know it's funny, but this is exactly how I think. There are some things I think in the detail. Because the interactions with, live alone, even my sisters, my mother, I'm like, why aren't you understanding me? This is where I'm coming from. Anasema hapana. A woman tells you she's fine, she's not fine. She's not hungry, she is hungry.
Oh. They are very confused.
You get, however, they're perfect.
Mysterious, maybe.
Yeah,
that's
they're mysterious, but they're the perfect. We are very compatible for them. Now that cannot come from evolution, can it?
No.
Or one cell cannot replicate a woman, because even look at the biological anatomy of a woman. It's very, very complex. And speaking of, do you know who undergoes majority of the change when a woman is pregnant, given that these people are together? It's the man. And it's scientific. The one who would go, if hypothetical you and your wife are expecting a child during that pregnancy, wewe ndio utaundergo more changes than her.
How is that? I saw it, but I've been trying to think about it. Why? Why will that be possible?
Now let me explain to you. It actually makes sense. You see, nature will find a way for everything to fit in perfectly. Now, when your wife is pregnant, the more as in the pregnancy can mature, your testosterone level drops. Up until the kid is born, it'll drop until 1-2 years, and then it will be normal. Do you know why that is? It's to make you gentle, for you to handle the kid.
Oh,
that's why,
mellow you.
Yeah, and actually once
you become malleable.
Yeah, you become like soft, gentle.
You can be turned to any direction.
Yeah.
Sleepless nights,
you understand? So the testosterone, the reduction of testosterone make you a bit gentle, make you a bit tolerative. Because ukisikia mtoto akilia constantly, you're like, come on. With your normal testosterone level, God knows what can happen. Unaweza anza kukasirika na nini. But that's why it drops.
Okay.
And then, go on.
No. I'm listening. I had read somewhere, but I didn't finish reading. Whatever. Okay. the changes that a man goes through during pregnancy of the wife. And
now all this is influenced by the woman. Now you have to understand that the amount of hormones a woman can radiate that will actually dictate a man's behavior. That's how complex a woman is. But people won't see it from a deeper level. Ikafika point kasema na hii yote science, I don't believe in evolution, nothing. This has to come from a design, and that's why I believe in God.